Welcome back, Gems, to another wonderful episode of the Grateful Gem podcast. I am your host, Jasmine Shannelle, and today we're talking about in this moment, being stuck in a moment. Stick around because gems are definitely going to be dropped and you don't want to miss out. So stay tuned. What's going on, Jams? I am so glad that you have tuned into this episode today. As you heard previously, we're going to be talking about in this moment, or basically being stuck in a moment. Hopefully, this is some information that can help you, and it can help you get unstuck if you are in a situation where you feel like you've been stuck in a moment and you can't get out of that moment as much as you tried, or you may have even thought you were out of that moment, or it's just a little hard for you to see how you can get out of that moment. Because to be honest, this is where I am at in my life. This is the story of my life at the moment. I feel like I'm stuck in a moment that I can't get outside of it. And that moment is currently it's a lot of I have a lot of feelings, but I feel like the overall moment is just to be the best. I'm in a moment where I want to do things that help me be the best. And I think I'm feeling so much pressure and so much thought as to what it is that I want to do to make sure that I make the right decisions, because now I am a mother. And I know I've been talking about motherhood a lot lately, but that is because a lot of these feelings and a lot of the last couple of episodes that I've been talking about have been geared around that mindset. And so, I'm not pregnant anymore, and I'm not going through that nesting stage and anxiousness of being a mom and all of that. But for some reason, to be honest, I'm kind of stuck in that mindset. I'm kind of stuck in a mindset where I want to be the best, because anything else, if I feel anything less than that, I feel like it's not good enough for my son. And so in doing that, I feel like I have definitely overanalyzed, which I'm an overanalyzer when it comes to anything already. So it doesn't make it any better, because I overanalyze a lot of things that typically comes natural. For instance, with the podcast, I haven't really felt creative. I haven't really felt any thoughts outside the box, even though, you guys, I've had a lot of episodes that I've wanted to record, but for some reason I've been putting a lot of pressure on myself, saying that's not good enough, that's not what they want to hear, or that's not relevant to this person, or that's not gonna be beneficial to this person. And I've never really felt it that bad to where it's like I'm not gonna just put out what I feel is natural. This is things that I'm actually going through. Like I told you guys, I don't put out anything that is not authentic and that's not led. This is what I'm actually going through, and this is what I'm working through, and I just want to give the insight that I have regarding this moment. And so in doing that, I've stumbled over a lot of topics or podcast episodes that I wanted to record, because I've been putting that much pressure on myself. And I think it's crazy, because I'm sitting here and I've been having conversations with multiple people, and a lot of things have been coming up without me even mentioning it, just letting me know that, to be honest, I didn't even know I was stuck in a moment. I didn't even know until maybe this week, honestly, because I thought, I'm a new mom and trying to get settled with my son, and he's up all most of the day. Well, not most of the day, but during the night. And on me, that's hard, because I don't sleep good during the day, and my sleep schedule is still the way it was when I was pregnant. So even though I'm not, like I said, I'm not pregnant anymore, I've had my son, I've been a mother for about 2 months now, my body is still going through phases of when I was pregnant. My mindset is sort of in the mindset that I was in when I was pregnant, because I want to be the best. I want to do the best. And I haven't adjusted to, okay, now you're actually a mom, so you need to think different. think about how you can continue to be the best mom that you can be, and what can you do to make sure that every day you're helping yourself become not only a great mom but a great person, and to reflect what it is that God called you to be a reflection of. And I've kind of, to be honest with you guys, I like to keep it open, but to be honest with you guys, I kind of lost sight of myself because I'm so stuck in this pregnancy mom mindset. And this is the moment that I've been stuck in. Like, I was pregnant for 9 months, and it's been 9, 10, 11 months, and I'm still in that mindset. I'm 2 months after giving birth, and I'm still in that mindset of thinking, how can I be the best that I can be? How can I prepare for my son? How can I do these things to better him? And in all honesty, it is draining. I feel stuck. I feel like there's no creativity that's coming out of me because I'm so focused on my son. When I go out, I'm thinking about him. And even though, I'm not so attached to where it's like I can't just leave him. But when I do leave him, I'm thinking about, okay, is he okay? Or not really is he okay, because he's mostly with his dad or with like my family or whatever. So I don't stress about that, but I stress about if I'm making the right decisions when it comes to him. Does he need this? What does he need? Did I get this for him? How can I help him become the young man that he's supposed to be? He's just a baby, And so I started talking about this with my sister the other day, because we talked about a lot of things and talking about some stuff regarding our life and how she felt stuck in her career and things like that. So it hit me like a bullet again, because I had been listening to sermons like over the weekend last week, and I listened to, of course, a message from Sarah Jakes and Darius Daniels, and they were both talking about the same thing. And they were talking about like having the phrase where people say, the cat got your tongue. And he was like, what happens when, you're in a moment where you don't have any creativity. You can't create content. You can't create anything outside of something that's different from where your mind is. What happens when you feel in the same place, kind of sort of complacent and stagnant, because you don't have that moment to move. Your mind is so focused on a moment that you can't go to the next moment. And they talked about how detrimental that is when it comes to trying to grow and advance yourself, because you can be stuck in the moment and not even know it. And that's where I was. I didn't even know I was stuck. I just thought, I'm just trying to get adjusted to being a mom, which hasn't really been hard. My son sleeps during the day. I don't really sleep during the day because that's just not how my body is set up. I sleep at night when I can. So during the day, I don't really get a lot done. And that was something that was kind of like a wake up call for me, because I normally can be productive during the day. And I had started praying, Lord, I need productivity. I need to be productive today. And even in those prayers and in those moments, I still was not able to get anything done. Even today, you guys, it is 8:26 p.m. and I am just now recording this podcast. Earlier during the day, I was trying to get my son to sleep because he was just not sleeping long enough for me. And then when he finally got sleep, I came up here, turned on the TV, put it on mute, and I'm sitting here writing the notes out and thinking about what I want to say and all this stuff. And it took me literally probably like 2 hours, because I think I sat down at like 6:30ish, 7, and it's 8 o'clock, and I just started recording a couple minutes ago. I recorded the intro, and then maybe an hour now, I'm just starting to record the podcast. And it's just like, and I had to get off my phone, because like I went on Instagram to look for something, and I ended up scrolling on there, liking stuff and looking at other stuff, and I spent an hour doing that. And then I was like, you know what? Let me put this down, because this is not what I came up here to do. I came up here to be focused and be productive and do what I said I was going to do. And I was like, I did not realize I was this far gone. Like, I didn't realize it was this bad. And so today I just started looking into the meaning or the background of the word moment, because we talk about moment a lot of times in our life, like, oh, I have to savor this moment, or it's the small moments in life that matters, the big moments and things like that. And so I just was looking up at a few things when it comes to a moment. So I looked on Google and I said, how long is a moment? So according to the internet, I don't know if it's true or not, or, if this is how we categorize it or how it's determined or whatever. But according to the internet, a moment is considered 90 seconds. So then I started thinking, I'm like, okay, And let me get that disclaimer. I am stuffy. My sinuses are killing me. So you might hear me just stuffed up a little, but as per usual, go with the flow. But again, a moment is considered 90 seconds. And I'm like, well, God, this is the longest 90 seconds of my life. Like, why am I still stuck in 90 seconds 100 seconds later? And I kept asking myself, like, what is it? What's going on? Like, why do I'm hitting this roadblock? I don't feel creative. I can't create content. I can't think about what I want to do with my career. I can't think about how I want to better my lifestyle, what's my new budget plan. I can't think of anything outside of thinking of motherhood and my son. And in a way, for me, that's not good, because I feel like I've lost myself in this moment. I've lost myself in this moment of being a mom, being pregnant, and my mindset is still there. Even though in the reality, I'm not pregnant anymore. I am a mom. I'm not preparing to be a mom anymore. I'm actually a mom. And to a certain extent, my mindset is still in that pregnancy stage. My body is sort of still in that pregnancy stage, because I still eat. I have the same eating habits that I did when I was pregnant. I don't really eat a lot. I eat once or twice a day, if that, because I'm not really hungry. And a part of me is kind of still scared to venture out and go back to the way I used to eat, because I was so sick and nauseous, even though I know I'm not pregnant anymore. And I think what stumbled me there is because after I had my son, later that day, I was still sick. I was still nauseous. And even a couple of weeks after I came home, I was still sick. I was still nauseous. And I thought I was going to literally vomit everywhere. So my mindset is stuck in that you can't go, like, things will never be back to normal for you. You're never going to be that old person that you used to be. And maybe I feel like in a certain way, that's honestly a good thing, because it makes me want to do things differently. But I don't want to do things differently so much to where it's like, okay, you're moving in a sense that doesn't make sense, because you're moving and your mind is in this place where, okay, you're acting like, you're pregnant, or you're doing things that you did when you're pregnant because of how your body reacted to the baby. But you're not pregnant anymore. The baby's not inside of you. So why are you doing that? And I couldn't for the life of me understand, what was going on. And to sit here and literally think about it and even talking about it, it's just like, this is amazing to me, because it's like, it's crazy how we can be in so many, or in a different season of our life, but our mindset and our attitude can be stuck in another moment. We could be in the best season of our life, but because we're looking at it negatively, or we're looking at it from a depressing state, we're not happy. But we could be the happiest we've ever been, because all the things that we pray for, we've gotten. All the things that we've wanted, we've gotten. Everything is going good. But because our mindset is still stuck on those negative days, because in our mind, the negative outweighs the positive, we can miss that moment of being happy, because we've been so used to being upset or being sad. And I feel like in a certain extent, that's where I am. I'm in this moment where I'm trying to make my life the best that I can make it, going above and beyond now, because I'm a mother. But in so many ways, I'm holding myself back, because I'm allowing fear. Fear is, to be honest, the number one thing that has stopped me from doing a lot of things. Like I said, I didn't put out those few podcast episodes that I had, because I was afraid that it wasn't good enough. And I'm like, I've never felt like my information and content, because like I said, it's something I go through. It's stuff that God is instilling in me, and I want to give it to you, because I know I can't be, there's millions of people in the world. I can't be the only one going through this. So I want to put it out there, so that if you're going through, or if you know somebody going through, you can share it with them. So I've never felt like the content wasn't good enough. Like I told you, I'm not just going to put anything out there, fluff, just to say I recorded a podcast episode. Not that I'm not going to do. But when I have genuine information and it's actually something that I'm going through, I've never had a moment where I felt like it wasn't good enough. So that to me was like a red flag, and I really didn't understand. I just thought, like I said, it was a roadblock, and I couldn't just get the creativity in my mind that I needed, or I'm like, maybe I couldn't get this message across the way that I needed to. But when I came to the conclusion that, okay, what you're trying to tell the people isn't good enough, and I'm like, wait a minute, because this is what I'm going through, and this is what God is telling me about this. So am I saying that God's word is not good enough for the people? And then I had to step back, and I had to open my eyes and realize that it's not that. It's the fact that I'm so stuck in this moment of being sort of, to a certain extent, a perfectionist, that I'm missing out on just being myself. Being, able to grow in certain areas of my life, because I'm afraid. I'm afraid that it doesn't live up to what I needed to live up to. And that's not me at all. It's not me at all. And I don't like that feeling. And that's why, to be honest, once I realized that, I didn't even dig into it, because I was just like, I can't believe this is happening to me. Like, you hear about postpartum and all those things that happen to other women, but you never think that, okay, it could happen to you. Because I'm like, I went through the worst in my pregnancy. That's the worst it could get. But now I realize, I'm like, I'm not depressed, but I'm at a roadblock. And I Googled a lot of things that I was going through, a lot of symptoms that I was having, and according to postpartum, it's normal. And I'm just like, but this isn't normal for me, I'm like, what's wrong with me? Like, why is this happening? And it's found in a lot of new moms, so it's normal, but I don't want it to be my normal. So I wanted to step outside and get back to not who I used to be, but who I'm supposed to be. And maybe that's your message. Maybe you're trying to stick to who you used to be when God is calling you to be the person that you need to be now. The old you can't handle where you're going, or the old you can't fathom what it is that God is trying to do in your life now, because you're trying to do things the old way when God has called you to do them in a new way. And I know that doing things in a new way can scare you. So sometimes reverting to how you usually handle situations is easiest, because you know the outcome, you know how it's gonna go. I know for me, the unknown is very, very scary. It's very scary, and it gets even scarier when you really can't even make a plan about it. And that's where I am. I can't even plan for it because I don't have that creativity. And I feel like God is calling me to not only do things in a different way, but to trust him in a different way. Trust him to do above and abundantly, like he said he's gonna do, to take care of me, and to 100% put my trust in him and let him know that I can't do this in my own strength, even though I've tried to do it that way before and it may have worked. But this time, God may be saying to you, I need you to 100% trust me. Even if you don't know how it's going to end within the next 5 minutes, but I need you to trust me. And sometimes, all the time, that can be hard because you don't know what the outcome is going to be. So it gives you a moment to just say, I can't. It's easier to go back than it is to go forward, because you're used to what you're coming from. You're used to looking back, and you're used to doing things a certain way. And so to do it in a different way when you can't see the outcome and you don't know the outcome, that's hard. That is really hard. And that's what I'm going through. I'm struggling with progressing myself, because I'm super afraid of what's ahead of me. And if what is ahead of me is for me, and if I really, sometimes, to be honest, if I deserve it. I tell myself that, okay, I want to do this venture, and I feel like it's going to work out, and I feel like God is calling me to. I've prayed about it for some time now, and I feel like God is calling me to do this. However, I feel like I'm not good enough. I feel like, what's so different about me that I'm going to do this time and it's going to work? And again, I know that I can't be the only one having this feeling. Yeah, I'm going through some things with postpartum, but I know there's somebody out there that didn't just have a baby that's feeling the same way, that is trying to get out of one mindset and get to another. But it's hard because you're so used to where you are, and it's familiar, and walking outside of familiar territory, it can sometimes be dangerous. And in my case, it is dangerous because I'm walking outside of familiar territory, walking into territory that's not even moving me. I'm too scared to take chances now because I don't feel that I deserve those chances, and I don't know if those chances are going to make me feel what I want to feel, when it's not about feeling. It's about progressing, and God has called us to progress and to grow. And if the things that we're doing in life doesn't do that for us, we have to learn to let it go. And even if letting it go says that you have to fully trust God, you have to be willing to do that. And you have to be willing to do that with confidence, with faith, and knowing that God has our best interests and that he knows the outcome, even if he doesn't tell us. Because sometimes God would do that, right? He'll do something and we'll pray about it, and he'll say, go forward with it. And we want to know the plan. But instead of giving us a plan, God tells us just to go. He doesn't give us the blueprint of this, that, and that. And sometimes a plan and the steps does come, but it comes at a later time. He may have told you a year ago to make that move, and then now here you are a year later, and you still haven't made it. because you're waiting on the next step. You want to know, okay, I made that move, but then what, God? After I make that move, what do I do? And sometimes God is He's not going to give it to you right then and there. So what happens when God waits 20 years to give you the next step? Are you going to wait 20 years to make the move that could have been the best decision of your life because you're afraid? Are you loving this episode? Great. Don't forget to leave your feedback by rating and leaving a review on Apple iTunes. Also, don't forget to subscribe anywhere, wherever you're listening to this podcast. And make sure that you follow us on Instagram to keep up in the know of what's going on with the podcast. Okay, let's get back to the episode. So I think that is super important to not, I guess in so many ways, step in front of your own steps. Don't be the reason that you don't progress. And again, you may be in the season of feeling stuck in this moment or in a certain moment and you don't even know it. Like I said, I was stuck in this moment and I didn't know what was going on. I just thought that, I was like, this is normal. Stuff will come to me later, whatever. I'll figure it out. And then when I listened to those two sermons, and when I first heard the first sermon, I watched a series by Darius Daniels. And of course, I'm going to link those in the description of this podcast episode if you want to take a look at those. But I was listening to a series that he's doing called Respectfully. And the first one I heard was Say It With Your Chest. And it was talking about having difficult conversations, which came to me at the right moment at the right time. And so I was like, this is a pretty good series. Let me go back because I think that was like part 3. So I was like, let me go to the beginning and listen to the first episode. So the first episode was I Hate It Here. And it talked about being in a moment where everything around you was just like, I hate it here, and why that happens and what to do when it happens and what that is. And I was just like, wait, because 9 times out of 10, when I listen to something, it comes at a moment. And I was just like, wow, like, is this what I'm going through? Like, am I this person? Because I find myself saying, I hate it here. When it comes to, certain places in my life, I'm like, I'm not growing, or I feel like I'm not growing, or I feel like I'm not where I'm supposed to be. And I hate it there because it's just like, I feel like it's not supposed to take this long. I could be further along in this. Why am I not moving forward? And why am I not more successful? I've been doing the work, and I want to take this new career venture, but what if it doesn't work out? And that was honestly the biggest thing that I have been struggling with, because I want to do this new venture for my career, but I've let fear really, really, really put a hold on me into making that decision, because I'm afraid of what if it doesn't work out. Instead of saying, God, I've prayed about this. You showed me a lot of things about it. You've revealed it several ways that I should go ahead and move forward. And when I talked about God giving us the go and sometimes not giving us the steps how to go, I was referring not to you. So you feel like I jabbed you. It wasn't purposely. That's just the Lord speaking. Let him use me. Come on, y'all. But that was to me, because I've been praying about doing real estate for the longest, you guys. I've wanted to do real estate since 2013. And that's that moment I was so afraid, because I feel like, this is something that's serious. You have to be really dedicated to do this. And I asked myself, am I that person? I always told myself that I would never be at a company more than a few years, because I don't want to invest my life into somebody else's business. And I feel like God has called me to entrepreneurship a long time ago, but I've tried different things and they didn't work out the way that I saw them working out. And so that also put a fear in my heart of, what if I do this thing and I've prayed about it, God told me to go, but it doesn't work out the way that I see it working out. But then I had to tell myself that success is defined differently. My success and God's success is not the same thing. So, and to be honest, my success is not me being a millionaire. It's not me sitting here on tons and tons of money, but me being comfortable, me being able to say I have such and such amount in my savings account. So if something happens to me, or something happens in my life where I can depend on not only just myself, but knowing that God is going to make a way, that I can go to my savings or my resources and say, this is going to happen, or this is happening, this is what I need to do, or this is what I need, and just being able to access it, being able to live in a life that's comfortable with how I live. And I think that for me, that's all it's ever been about. That's why I've always worked so hard. I've worked 2 or 3 jobs just to get a savings account, and even now with that, I've been saving money, doing what God told me to do. But every time I save money, something happens, and I'm thankful because I have the money to do what I need to do. But I get frustrated because it's like I'm doing the work, and I'm doing what it is that God's called me to do, but I don't see those triple numbers, triple thousands in my account. But to God, He could be looking at this and saying, Jasmine, good job well done. You're being obedient. You're doing what I told you to do, and you're not letting what looks like failure get in your way. And so I think that a big word in my life right now is fear and failure. Those are the 2 things that are stopping me. And I really I was supposed to get my real estate or go to get my real estate license last month. I've had the money to do it several times, and I've ended up paying things off my credit and paying more money out and paying on my car in advance and things like that, paying my bills up in advance instead of doing those things, doing the real estate stuff, because I was afraid. I was afraid that what if I do this and I actually get my license and it actually works out, but it doesn't work out the way I see it working out? Or what if I do this and it doesn't work out, but in reality it is working out, but it's just harder? A lot of things have kept me from getting my real estate license. And like I said, I've been trying to do this since 2013. I let my family talk me out of it. I let just the matter of I have test anxiety. I let that get me out of it. And at a certain extent, I kind of talked myself out of it because I felt like you've had so many jobs. You're not stable when it comes to a job. What if you get so invested in real estate and then you do all of this stuff and then you just leave it? So like I said, I've talked myself out of it, but it comes to a point where you have to trust God and pray about it. And when God answers you, you have to be willing to make a move on that answer. Because what's the point of continuously sitting here praying about the same thing if you're going to do the same thing? If you're not going to move, if you're going to continue to stay complacent and stagnant and afraid in your decisions. And that's, to be honest, that's not a jab at you. That's a jab at me, because that's what I've been doing. And like I said, my plan was to get my real estate license while I'm out on maternity leave so that I can start doing it part-time and just build my clientele up and do what I need to do, because I'm really already knowledgeable in real estate. I'm already certified a home stager in decorating and all of that, so that goes in hand. And I know I'm a business person. I know how to talk to people. I'm a people's person, and I feel like I would do really good in it. But it's just like, is what I feel good enough? And sometimes, not to be funny, but to be honest with you guys, I prayed about it and God has told me to go forward. But I feel like in so many words, I'm asking myself, okay, is me being, having those qualities good enough? And at a certain extent, because I've been disobedient, I'm honestly saying to God, is your word good enough? Can I trust your word enough to trust you that it's going to work out and I'm going to be okay? So I feel like, it's really important for us to get outside of our box and do what it is that God has called us to do. Again, a moment is 90 seconds. 90 seconds, man. And it's an indefinitely short period of time. So if a moment is 90 seconds, why does it feel like I've been here for a year? Why am I still stuck in this moment? Like I said, I feel like I'm stuck in pregnancy mode. That's how my mindset is. You're pregnant for 9 months. It's been 11 months. Why do I still have that mindset? Why have you been stuck in this place that you can't get out of? Why do you still have this attitude or this mindset towards whatever it is and you can't move? What is keeping you bound? That's what I want to help you realize today. And I hope that this information was helpful. I hope that some way, shape, and form it gave insight. Of course, I'm going to link those videos down below if you want to take a look at those. But just remember, keep asking yourself, a moment is 90 seconds. How long are you going to let this be your moment? And how long is it going to take you to get to the next moment? So, with that being said, this is the end of this episode. Again, I hope it gave insight and I hope it helped at least one person, because this was a big moment for me. And like I said, I was stuck and I didn't even know it. So maybe that's you. Maybe that's your story. I don't know. But I pray that you seek whatever it is that's keeping you bound, whatever you're afraid of doing, or whatever is keeping you stuck, if it's the past, if it's hurt, if it's failure. Because for me, my biggest thing is failure. I sometimes feel like a failure because I feel like I could be farther along than this. But then I have to realize that I'm exactly where God has called me to be. If I was supposed to be there, I would have been there by now, because God is not a liar. And that's what I believe over you. You have to believe that God said God is going to do what he said he's going to do. And he's not a liar. And even though you feel like you could be further along, or even though you feel like if you had made that decision to move to another city or take that job or go back to school, that you could be further along. If God wanted you to do it, and if it could really get you further along, you'd be there. And maybe you're still supposed to take that jump. But maybe maybe the time that you were supposed to do it wasn't the right time. Maybe the time is now. And maybe you know the time is now, but you're afraid because when you wanted to do it, God didn't allow it to happen. That could also be something that keeps you stuck. Last story before I go. You guys know I wanted to move back to Georgia. And when I got pregnant, I realized that I had been praying since 2018 when I moved back to Jacksonville that I could go back to Atlanta. I had a savings plan and budget. I had the mindset that I was going to move back to where I was already staying because I love that area, or at least in that neighborhood. I was going to save my money and I was going to transfer with Bank of America because that's was my goal, to get on at Bank of America in Atlanta, but I didn't. I got on at Jacksonville. Didn't understand that. Still don't understand it to this day. But I believe, and I kept saying I'm going to get on at Bank of America one way or another. I'm there. Thankful that I'm there. And I said, this is going to be my ticket back to Atlanta. And then I got pregnant. And when I got pregnant, I knew that that was God's way of telling me, you're not going back to Atlanta. Like, I knew that was his way of telling me that. And I had a conversation with one of my good friends who always keeps it real with me. And I respect her so much for that, because she never sugarcoats. And she never gives me what I want to hear. She gives me the truth. And she gave me her honest opinion about it. And we talked about it one day, like a week or two after I had him. And she was like, to be honest with you, Jazz, she was like, I don't think that you going back to Atlanta is in the plans that God has for you. And the sad thing about it was, I told her, I said, I agree. But I had been holding on to going back to Atlanta since I came back to Jacksonville because I hate it here. See where I'm going with this? I just said that topic was I hate it here. Because I felt stuck when I'm here. I feel like there's nothing here for me. I feel like I'm not the person that I could be when I'm here. When I was in Atlanta, I wasn't this person. I was happier. I was at peace. I had peace of mind. I was exploring. I was having a good time. And when I moved back for a good reason. But I still wasn't happy. And because I couldn't find that happiness that I had in Atlanta, I've been missing out on the things that have happened to me here. You know, yeah, I didn't plan on having a child and getting pregnant, but I did. And I kind of missed out on being that blessing of being pregnant and getting that moment to, you know, have a child, because I had such a negative mindset when I was pregnant. My whole mindset was negative because I knew that this was the one thing that was going to keep me from leaving Jacksonville. And to be honest with you guys, I have not told anybody that. That is me being 100% authentic. I haven't released that information to anybody. But that was one of the main reasons why I was really upset about getting pregnant, because I knew that me being pregnant, I could not leave Jacksonville and live with myself. I could have left if I wanted to, but I didn't want to do that to his dad, because I know that he wants a relationship with him and they have a great relationship. And who am I to take that from him? I would never do that. And because I'm not that type of person, I feel like when that happened to me, I feel like, to be honest, that I feel like God had stabbed me in the back. I'm being real. I'm being honest. And I was hurt. I was upset. And because I was so hurt, because I was upset, I missed out on having a good experience. Even though I was sick, and even though, you know, it didn't go as well as many other people's pregnancy goes, or at least as well as they paid it out to go, I had a negative mindset the whole pregnancy. I was so glad when it was time to push him out, and that was the best time because it didn't last that long. I wasn't in labor that long at all, and I only pushed like 3 times and he popped out. I was so thankful and so grateful. And I sometimes now think about, dang, I miss those moments when I was pregnant because I miss feeling him kick. I miss his movement. I miss talking to him. And I miss bringing that bond the way that I wanted to, because I was so upset. I was so upset about being pregnant. And it wasn't because I didn't, I'm not going to say it wasn't because I didn't want kids. I didn't want kids. I'm going to be honest about that. But it wasn't because, I just felt like this was the best thing in my life. I felt like this was the dumbest thing that I could have ever done. And now I love my son. He's the blessing to my life. He's a blessing that I didn't even know I needed. And it was a wake-up call for me to realize that at the end of the day, God allowed it to happen. I'm not going back to Atlanta. And there's a reason why I'm still in Jacksonville. I haven't figured it out, but God is going to show it to me. And like I said, I knew that when I got pregnant, I was like, I can't move back to Atlanta. So I had to let that reality go. And when my friend told me that was the moment that I actually accepted it. 2 weeks after I gave birth. I had been holding on to this since 2018, me moving back to Atlanta. And to be honest, sometimes I still thought about, well, maybe that's not what God's telling me. When I know good and well, God's telling me you're not going back. You're staying here. And I even remember having that conversation with my ex when I was pregnant. I told him, I was like, because he was talking about getting a job traveling. I was like, you ain't doing that, because I'm getting ready to have this baby in like 2 months. This is like in December. And so I told him, I was like, I really wanted to move back to Georgia. I was like, my plan before I got pregnant was to move back to Georgia next year around my birthday. And around my birthday, or to transfer out from this department to another department that would allow me to go to Atlanta. And the crazy thing, you guys, let me tell you how funny God is. The department that I moved into in January is a department that allows me, because the department it started in Atlanta. So the department is based in Jacksonville and Atlanta. So a lot of people from Atlanta are moving to Jacksonville, and a lot of people from Jacksonville are moving to Atlanta, transitioning, because we have those in both sites. And so I was so upset when that happened. I said, God has a funny sense of humor, because I was so tempted to reach out to my manager and say, how can I move or transfer from Jacksonville to Atlanta in the same department? Because it was that accessible. What do you do when God presents you with something that you know is not going to happen? What do you do? And that's another reason why I felt stuck, because I'm like, it's in front of me. God is presenting this to me, and I can't even do it, because doing it is going against what God already told me. He already told me you're not going back. So yeah, you presented me with this opportunity, and I feel like I was being tested, to be honest. Are you going to really jump out and do this? And I remember telling my cousin, because I was so frustrated with being pregnant. I was so upset, and I was like, listen, when I have this baby, I am going to write my manager, and I'm going to tell her that I would like to get information on how to transfer to Atlanta, and his dad can just come back and forth and see him, and I'm not happy here. I hate it here. I don't want to be here no more. I want to leave, and this is what I want to do. And that's really how I talk. And I knew better. I was like, that ain't happening, Jasmine. Like, stop speaking that into existence, because it's not going to happen. God's already told you it's not going to happen. You got confirmation it's not going to happen. You know it's not going to happen. And so that was one thing that also had me stuck, because I'm thinking, what if what I think God is telling me to do, or what I'm praying that God has spoke over me, what if it's not what God wants for me, it's what I want for me, and I pursue it, and it never happens? And then God confirms over and over that it's never going to happen, but I keep pushing it because I feel like it's going to happen, or I feel like God gave me a word on it. So I'm telling you, there's a lot of reasons why you can be stuck. And sometimes it takes just digging deeper and listening to what people say around you, and listen to how you carry conversations, and pay attention to what's going on in your life, to see what's going on that's keeping you stuck. Because like I said, I was stuck in a moment, something that was supposed to last 90 seconds. I'm still there. And I'm working my way out of there slowly. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I've worked my way out of there and I'm just back to normal. No, I'm not. But I'm taking it step by step. I said I was going to do this podcast episode today. It took me longer than it normally does. But I'm here. That's one step towards stepping outside of my comfort box and not looking back on how I used to do things, because I have to do it in a different way now. But looking at the point that I said I was going to do it and I stuck to my word. It took me a little longer, but I got it done. And sometimes it's the small moments that matters the most. So give yourself credit. Give yourself credit and allow yourself to let go of a moment that you've been stuck in and get to the moment that God has called you to be in, because it's going to be really detrimental for the season that you're going to go through next. So I hope that, again, this helped you. I love you guys. I will see you on the next episode. Hopefully it'll be next week. I want to get back to doing episodes every Sundays like I used to. So hopefully I can see you guys next week and give you another episode, and I can just get back on flow. Don't hold me to it. But I'm going to try my best. But keep shining as the gems you are. And I will see you on the next episode. Bye.